Ladies and gents, welcome to the Ecom Dispensary. Welcome back to the Ecom Dispensary for most of y'all. If you're new here, welcome to it. It is September. I guess this is going to be coming out. Is this coming out on 9/11? It is. This is coming out on 9/11. It's currently the morning of September 9th as we're recording this. It's a beautiful Thursday. A little bit early, a little bit early. We're gonna keep the energy high. Hopefully, Scotty's over there. It's like 8 a.m. for him. Scotty, how you doing, man? You feeling high energy today?
Doing well, doing well. I hope my voice doesn't give out. Sounding super weird for some reason, at least in my head.
You've been yelling a lot.
Nah, not really. I don't know.
Probably got that Rona again.
Nah. I guess my buddy was sick a couple days ago.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right, well, I'm coming to you from the normal spot, Scotty. Where are you coming? Where are you coming to us from?
A village by the sea.
A village by the sea, undisclosed location. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, as always, folks, we got some good stuff for you this week. In this first episode, this is Knowledge Up number 32, episode number 129. We're talking about why e-commerce is a game of patience. So probably not the sexiest title. I feel like a lot of people are like, don't tell me that it's going to take a lot of time. I want to do this quickly, and I get it. And we all want that. Okay. Don't worry. We all want that. But at the same time, there are some things to be aware of with just the kind of way that e-commerce works as a business model compared to other business models. And you have to kind of understand these things to be able to operate in the correct way and just kind of be able to see things from a bird's eye view, be able to just make the right decisions and do the things that are going to get you to the point where you're making some good monies. So we got that. And then we also got some other great stuff coming for you in the following episodes. I really think you guys are going to enjoy the next two episodes after this specifically. But we'll save that for those next two episodes. For now, let's talk about this. Why is e-commerce a game of patience? So there's a few reasons for this. I think generally speaking, it's just really important to recognize that the way the business model works, things tend to happen at a bit of a slower pace than in a lot of other business models. Now, I will say that compared to like a traditional brick and mortar or really any sort of business that you could have started like before the internet existed, it's still extremely quick. Like that's way, way, way slower. This is still relatively quickly in the grand scheme of things. How fast the business model works, I guess is how I would put that. But there's also some other online business models that you can do that just move a bit quicker. And I think if you're going to do ecom, this is the ecom dispensary. So if you're going to be doing ecom, I think it's really important that you have the patience and the perseverance that's required to make this work. So I'm kind of curious, Scotty. I have some notes here. Does this kind of resonate with you? Like, do you think that this is a pretty true thing? Like, what's your experience with ecom being a bit of a game of patience?
It's definitely a game of patience because a lot of the scaling that you want to do isn't something that happens right now. It's a case of making improvements and then over time, those will lead to scaling. Like scaling is not a week to week process so much as it is making improvements. And if you keep making big improvements, 6 months down the line, you're going to be at a higher scale than you are right now. The one thing you said about, oh, there's other business models that are faster. I don't really know if there's many. There's really only freelancing, freelance copy, that kind of thing, agency work maybe,
Mm-hmm.
that really are faster. I feel like just about every business model to an extent is a game of patience. The thing about e-com is that it's often marketed as not a game of patience. It's marketed as a 0 to 100K in 60 days kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that was kind of the main thing I was thinking of when I was thinking of other business models that you can get feedback quicker. And I think it's not so much necessarily as like how long it takes. This isn't, I mean, that's part of it, but it's also how long it takes you to get feedback from the decisions that you make. So if you're freelancing, you're sending out cold emails to try to get clients, you get that feedback very quickly. If you change a line of copy, you change your offer, you change who you're targeting, who you're trying to provide services to, you send out a bunch of cold emails and you get that feedback, pretty freaking quickly within a few days. I mean, even within one day, depending on how many cold emails you're sending out, probably a little bit longer than that. with ecom, it is quicker than, say, like if you were building an organic presence on some sort of social media, if you're building a personal brand, or you're building a YouTube channel, or something along those lines. Anything organic is going to take longer to get that feedback, because it's not as direct as the way that we do ecom with paid advertising through Facebook ads. You do get that feedback pretty quickly, but there's also other things that just like take more time, and just like, especially once you get established, different things that you're going to do, like different changes that you're going to make to improve the business. Sometimes it can take weeks or months to really see the results of those. And that's kind of something that we're experiencing right now in our business.
Yeah, it's different once you're starting to make physical products with like, once you start making changes to physical products, everything takes a long time. But in terms of like the feedback loop, that's actually one of the great things about ecom, how it only takes 2 to 3 days to get results on your tests. Imagine if you're trying to build an organic following, or you're trying to build something with SEO, you're looking at 6+ months before you can see whether your idea has traction or not. Like for each round of tests, quote unquote, you're looking at least 6 months. With ecom, at least it's like it's a couple days, so it's not too bad in that sense. But that's for a round of tests. That's not going 0 to 100K. So
yeah, I think like a lot of people, especially, I mean, this just brings me back to some great advice that you gave me way back in the day when I was first starting out. Is once I would get ads up and I'd start testing something, I would just be so eager to get the results back, and I'd just be like updating the Facebook ads dashboard like 100 times a day, just looking at the results and just just constantly refreshing that page, just being like addicted to looking at that Facebook ads dashboard. And the advice that you gave me was like, yo, once you get ads up, like go for a walk, like just chill out. You don't need to be constantly refreshing the Facebook ads dashboard. Just like take a step back and give it some time, because I think that's another big thing that people do is they're so eager to get the results back, and they're so eager to see how things are working, that they start looking on an extremely like short time scale, and they end up making bad decisions because they're just not giving things enough time.
Yep, 100%, 100%. It's like you made your choice that this is what you're gonna run with, and now you just gotta let it run. It's like the fucking coach that sets up his team. He sends out the best team for the day, whatever he thinks the best team is, and then once the game starts, he just has to let his players play. At least in fucking real football. I don't know how it is in fake football.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably pretty common across most sports, and barring something drastic like an injury or something. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a good comparison. Like, you got to make the best decision that you can with all the available data that you have at that given time, and you just got to send it, and you just got to kind of let the chips fall where they may. Give it time to give yourself, enough data so that you can actually see what the results are. And then from there, then it's like it's a balance, right? It's like it's a game of patience, but it's also at the same time a game of speed. Like, for example, something we're going to talk about in one of the other episodes this week is kind of how we're finding new products to sell and starting new stores and stuff like that. And I just launched a new store. I guess yesterday was the first day, as of the day that we're recording this. And, obviously we're going to let that run for like 2 to 3 days so that we can get some results. But in the meantime, today I'm already brainstorming, like, what's the next round of tests? If this round of tests doesn't work out that well, what am I going to do next? And I'm already thinking about that ahead of time, so that when those 2 to 3 days have hit, that on that third day, I'm ready to get another round of tests up. And, I'm not wasting time trying to figure out what to do next when I could be getting something new up because it's been enough time.
Yep. Yep. I think the good thing is when you're starting, it is like a really short feedback loop. Like you're looking at 3 to 4 days max for a round of tests. Once you start having physical products, inventory, that kind of thing, things take a lot longer. It's like a months-long process. Does new sizing actually help? Developing the new sizing first, getting the orders in, getting samples, all that takes a incredibly frustrating amount of time. Working on a brand with a buddy, and it's like fuck, like making actual physical products from scratch You design them, you get a sample. Sample's not good. You send it back. They make a new sample, ship the sample from China. Okay, this isn't good. Back and forth, it just takes months and months. It's crazy.
Yep. Yeah, and that's kind of been one of the main things, and this is one of the things that really inspired this episode. One of the things that we're really working on in our brand is improving our sizing and just making sure that we have all the correct sizes for our customers. This has been a months-long process. I mean, Scotty, when did we really like seriously start the process of improving our sizing and trying to, the goal with improving our sizing is essentially to reduce our refund and return rate. We started that, I mean, what was that, like maybe in May?
I don't know. Could be, probably was, yeah.
I mean, it was months ago. It was at least like 2-3 months ago that we started this process, working with a professional company to kind of figure out where we're at currently, and then getting that info from them and figuring out what we need to do with our sizes and everything to serve the most amount of people and have the most accurate sizing. And through that process, we realized that there were some issues with our current sizing, that we had two sizes that were too similar. And, long story short, we're having to develop an entirely new size, same product that we've been selling, but even just developing a new size is something that takes months. Like we got them the dimensions and, the specifications of what we're looking for. And then they have to make a sample. Right now, it's kind of in the stage where like the sample is on its way from China to me so that I can take a look at it and, figure out what's wrong with it, if there's anything else that we need to do to it. But this is, this whole process, it's going to take a while, because once we get the sample approved, then they have to produce all the units. We got to ship it from China in bulk. These days, that is taking quite a long time. And we're hoping that we're going to be able to get all this done in time for the kind of big time Q4 for Black Friday, Cyber Monday in December and January of 2022. But when it comes to like anything with physical products, these things take a lot of time. And, this is just one of those moves that we came to the conclusion that if we could do this and if it was successful, then it would be really, really huge for our brand. And if it takes 6 months, it takes 6 months. But I think that's kind of the thing, and maybe the difference between how we operate versus how a lot of other people operate in the e-com and dropshipping spaces. We are operating on a pretty long time scale. A lot of people, if they knew that something was going to take 6 months to do, they might not even bother doing it, because they're like, well, I don't even know if this is going to be around in 6 months. For us, we're pretty confident that we're going to be around in 6 months. So we can make these big moves that are a bit like higher in terms of barriers to entry. Like a lot of other people and brands, if they were doing something similar, it would be a lot more difficult than it is for us, probably, for them to do this. But we have that long time scale. And for us, that's worth it to make these changes. And who knows, we could do this entire process and then it not work out like we would have hoped. And, that's a possible outcome. But to us, the risk, like the reward kind of outweighs the risk. And if we can dial that in, then that is just going to increase our profit margin so much so that it'll finally be worth it.
Yeah. To be fair, the long time horizon that we have, or longer at least, it's not like that's a result of our mindset or anything else. That's just a result of that our brand is more established. Like this isn't like a mindset switch you need to make or whatever. Like if you're just starting a new store and you've got an idea, but it's going to take 6 months to implement, and you've been running the store for 2 weeks, like you're not in a place yet where it makes sense to implement that idea. It's not that you need to think longer term, it's that we think longer term because we're at a different stage.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
if you've been running for 3 months and done 12K revenue, your store very well might not be around or be profitable in 6 months. You're right not to have a super long time horizon when you think about making changes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a key distinction. I mean, like pretty much everything we talk about, it's all context dependent. Like you kind of have to be able to take what we're talking about here and apply it to the specific stage that you're at. But I think that's also the cool thing is even if you're not at that stage quite yet, it's good to be filling your brain with these things so that when you are at that stage that you already kind of have that idea in your head and you'll be, nice and ready to go. But that's kind of the main gist of this episode is that in ecom, once you're established, a lot of the things that are going to be big needle movers that are really going to increase the profitability and allow you to scale and all that kind of stuff, a lot of them are things that take a lot of time to get feedback from. And that's just kind of the way it is. And you got to be patient. Like you got to be able to make these big moves and just kind of wait and see the results. And the cool part is too, like, if we only did this and this was successful, this kind of venture that we've been talking about with sizing and everything, and then like one other big thing, if that's all we did throughout the year, those two things could very well be enough to be, a huge improvement in the business. And that's maybe all we would have to do the entire year, really, to kind of get the business to where we want it to be. So sometimes it's a kind of a less is more thing. You got to figure out what those big needle movers are. And once you're established, it might take time, but they very well could be very, very worth it if you can kind of have the patience to implement them and just wait and see for the results.
Yep, 100%.
So too long didn't read. Be patient. E-commerce, it moves. The feedback is relatively quick, but once you get established, there's a lot of things that you can do that are going to take a bit more time, and you got to have the patience to be able to implement those and just wait and see. And if you can do that, then I think you'll be in a good spot. So that's why e-commerce is a game of patience. We'll talk to you guys in the next one.